Nikki Sanders here with Nikki Sanders Leadership Consulting. I am coming to you today to talk about feedback. Now, as a leader, we've been trained on how to give feedback to our supervisees or our staff or our team members. You know, there's the sandwich method where you tell them something positive or good, and then you put the thing that needs to be improved in the middle, and then you follow up with something else that they're doing well. That's one strategy. There are many more, but what we often don't learn is how to accept criticism, not just from our staff, but from our colleagues. So if you are a leader and you cannot accept criticism, if you cannot accept that you are not perfect in doing everything great, if you can't accept that there is room for improvement, if you can accept that your team may actually know a little bit more about a specific area than you because they're actually doing the work day in and day out, you're not being an effective leader. So I used to tell my staff, I got my big girl panties on, or, you know, my feelings aren't easily hurt. Yes, be respectful, but tell me what I need to know. Now, if there's a misconception or there's some confusion, we can work through that, especially as social workers and human services professionals. We should be able to talk through those tough conversations. Social workers are great at delivering that information that may be tough to hear or tough for other people to relay. So if you aren't open, willing, able to accept the feedback, positive criticism, constructive criticism from people who you work with and who actually have your best interests in mind, want to see you grow on the same team, you're working for the same goal and mission, you're not just doing your staff a disservice, you're also doing yourself a disservice, because how will you improve if you think that you're already perfect? We are human. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. There are things we do well, there are things we're great at, there are things we're excellent at, but there's always growth opportunities. There's always room for improvement. There are always ways to do things faster, quicker, more streamlined, smoother. There's always people who know a little bit more who can help us in certain areas. And part of being a good leader is being open to learning. Being open to learning. I tell my students all the time, be committed to lifelong learning. Well, as a leader, you have to be committed to lifelong learning, whether that's reading a book, whether that's subscribing to a podcast, whether that is attending a conference, or whether that's listening to the people who work with you every day and can see your blind spots. Because sometimes there are things that we just can't see because we're in the work, because we are moving quickly, because we have lots of things on our plates. There's lots of reasons why we don't always take the time to stop and evaluate where we are. So if you are the supervisor at the top, right? Oftentimes, if you're an executive director, then you have the board of directors who may be your supervisor, and then they may do like a 360 performance rating with some staff members on your team. If that is not the case, I am going to encourage you to, when you do your performance evaluations for your team, to also then have someone do the performance evaluation for you. You can get people that you supervise, you can get colleagues, you can get past supervisors to talk to you about some of the things that they may have seen, and be open. Don't take it personal. Now, all of us know when someone is being evil or vindictive. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone genuinely has your best interest in mind. And truth is, if you're hearing the same thing over and over and over again, you are the common denominator. It is not your team. It is you. If you are hearing the same thing from multiple people year after year in different roles, people who say the same thing, that means there's no growth. And if there's no growth, Your career isn't stagnant. The truth is, if you aren't growing, your career is dying. It's actually going backwards because the world is continued to evolve, grow, change, shift, adapt, adjust, and you have to be willing to do the same thing, whether it's learning a new software or whether it is learning how to work with different generations in the workplace. Now, I have taught and supervised staff who are older than me. I've taught and supervised very young people, and I have to show up differently for each of them for different reasons. And the truth is, you have to show up differently for every individual staff person. So again, there is always room for improvement because you have to show up differently for different people. Every staff person requires something different. And let me remind you of this. If you have that amazing staff person who is killing it, stop giving them all the extra work. And I'm guilty, right, of, saying, oh my God, this person is great, they're amazing, I can count on them, they're so reliable, they're so resourceful and creative. And then I found myself like depending on them way too much or giving them way too much work because they were the reliable or responsible ones. So that was something that I had to learn, right, to do differently. Stop rewarding your best employees with more work. The first time I terminated someone, there was a language barrier, and they didn't understand that I had terminated them. And so I had to adapt and adjust in that exact moment because they didn't understand what had just happened. And this was a person I had not hired, but this was someone that just was not meeting the needs of the position. And some of that was the language barrier. Some of that was not being properly trained and oriented. And so for me, I did a performance improvement plan before the termination, and I thought, those things were clear as we were moving forward, and they were not. One of the things that I learned from that is be slow to hire and quick to fire. Now, the caveat with that is don't be so slow that people just drop out of the process and they remove themselves from candidacy because you're taking too long. And don't make it so cumbersome and burdensome that people are like, this is too much, I'm not doing it, it's not worth it. And also, you need to be willing, in most instances, unless it's something egregious, to put someone on a performance improvement plan or let them know what your expectations are. Something may have happened in their life that caused a shift in their work. We can't just you're fired, you're done. That's not what I mean. But I do mean don't let someone stay long enough that they are poisoning your team or they're poisoning your environment when you know that they're not going to improve. And that means you have to continually evaluate yourself. You have to continually learn. You have to continually seek feedback. You have to be willing to adapt, grow, and change if you're going to be an effective leader leading an organization that lasts a lifetime. Okay? Cool. Go on and accept that feedback. Everybody is not jealous and out to get you. Some people really want to see you give and do your best. This is Nikki Sanders with Nikki Sanders Leadership Consulting. Let me know in the comments if you have some questions around leadership. You can head over to my website at nikkisanders.com. Check out the blog post there on leadership. More videos here on the More Than Social Work with Nikki Sanders YouTube channel on leadership. And remember, you can be an amazing leader, but only if you're able and willing to accept positive criticism and grow. See you soon. Bye.